Buenos días, estudiantes. At this point, we're going to go into a very simple verb construction called reciprocal reflexives. The first thing you need to remember, of course, is the reflexive pronouns. We've used them before. And reflexive verbs are those which reflect the action of the verb back onto the subject, like in me miro en el espejo. Miro, I'm looking, me, at myself. Me miro en el espejo. Or miramos, we look, nos, at ourselves. Nos miramos en el espejo. Or ellos se miran en el espejo. Ellos se miran. Se, the reflexive pronoun. In this case, though, we're going to use the reflexive pronouns in a different way. So let's consider that the two pronouns indicate that two people are doing something to each other. For example, miramos is we're looking. If I say we are looking at each other, all I do is add the pronoun nos. Nos miramos. So the miramos is the verb we look. The nos is that we're looking at each other. Another example is ellos miran la televisión. They're looking at television. But if I want to say that two people are looking at each other, I would say ellos se miran. So the se refers to each other, one person looking at another and the other person looking back. So in reciprocals, we're only using the pronouns nos and se with the plural forms of the verb, since two people are always involved in this kind of case. An example with se. We could say, Juan ve a Maria. John sees Mary. And of course, if Mary is looking back, we would say, Maria ve a Juan. Maria sees John. Well, this is all contracted very neatly into the expression Juan y Maria se ven. Ven is the verb, they see, se, each other. So Juan is doing it to Mary, and Mary is returning the favor, and they're seeing each other. Very simple construction, really. With nos, it goes this way. Yo veo a Carlos, I see Charles, and Charles, of course, sees me. Therefore, Carlos me ve. But we could summarize that as saying Carlos y yo nos vemos. Nos vemos. We see each other. The nos, in that case, then, means each other. Another example, mi abuela me escribe, with the verb escribir. Escribe, she writes, me, to me, in that case, indirect object. If I say, though, yo escribo a mi abuela, escribo a mi abuela, the verb escribir, I write to my grandma. Well, if we write to each other, it's simply mi abuela y yo nos escribimos. The verb escribimos, and the nos meaning we do it to each other. I write her a letter, and she writes one back. Nos escribimos. We write to each other. Many verbs, actually, can be used with this expression. Ayudar, to help, is another one. Mis amigos y yo nos ayudamos. We help, ayudamos. Nos, each other. And always put the nos in front of the verb. Another one with dar. Mi esposa y yo nos damos regalos. We give, damos, nos, to each other, presents, regalos. Nos damos. So all of the words in English, each other, would summarize to the nos in the reflexive, in this case, nos damos. Entender is another one. Paco y Pepe se entienden. They understand each other. So each other is the se, right? Entienden, they understand. Se, each other. So nos and se are the pronouns that we're going to use in this. Now this construction can be used in any tense. Doesn't really matter. A good example is the verb conocer, which in the preterite tense means to meet. In the past tense it means to meet. Example, mi mejor amigo y yo nos conocimos en París. Conocimos is we met, and then the each other is nos. He met me, I met him. Each other. Nos conocimos en París. Or saludar, which means to greet or say hello. El profesor y el estudiante se saludaron ayer. The teacher and I said hello yesterday. To each other is implied in that case in English. Se saludaron. Now think for a moment about what these sentences would be in Spanish. Ana y Roberto are listening to each other. Therefore, Ana y Roberto se escuchan. Each other is the se, always before the verb. Se escuchan. We call each other every day. Nos llamamos todos los días. Nos llamamos todos los días. So rather than in English having two words like each other, we simply say nos llamamos, and that does it in Spanish. In this construction, we're only using the nos and the se, reflexive pronouns, with the plural form of the verb. The idea in English is always included in the expression each other, but we'll never say something like that in Spanish, just the pronoun nos or se. And this construction can be used in any tense. A very simple reflexive pronoun verb usage shouldn't be any problem at all.